Most hunters think high magnification is the answer to long-range hunting in Alaska, and it costs them everything. You show up to the biggest hunt of your life with a scope cranked to 20 or 30 power, and when that grizzly bear steps out at 30 yards through the willow brush, you cannot see a damn thing but a wall of fur and claws. The math does not work. High magnification shrinks your field of view so bad that you miss the animal entirely, and by the time you figure out what is happening, it is already too late. Here is the truth that the optics companies do not want you to know. The best scope for Alaska is not the one with the most magnification. It is the one that delivers perfect clarity when the light is fading, rock-solid tracking when you have to adjust on the fly, and a tight enough group to handle the recoil of a Magnum rifle that weighs 9 to 11 pounds. All without breaking your back on a 10-day backpack hunt through 40,000 acres of unforgiving terrain. This ranking will show you exactly which 7 scopes actually deliver that promise. And when you get to number 1, you are going to understand why it just took the throne. Number 7. The Maven Rs.2, 2 to 10 times 38. Maven blew up the optics industry by selling direct to consumers and cutting out the retail markup. The Rs.2 is a lightweight masterpiece, 12.4 ounces, which makes it the lightest scope on this entire list. If you are building a backpack rifle under 6 pounds for a 10-day wilderness expedition into the Brooks Range where every ounce means the difference between success and pure suffering, this is your optic. The Japanese ED glass is engineered so sharp that even though the objective is only 38 millimeters, smaller than the Leupold or Vortex competitors, the light transmission still hits 95%. That is engineering. That is not marketing speak. That is real physics backed by actual coatings. The turrets are capped, which means you are not fiddling with exposed elevation dials. The scope uses a second focal plane reticle, either duplex or SHR, with quarter MOA click adjustments. Here is the honest part. SFP means those holdover marks only work at one specific magnification level, usually 10 power. Switch to 7 power to scan for animals, and suddenly your reticle subtensions are useless. You have to dial the scope back to maximum magnification before you can trust the marks. That is not a deal breaker for most hunters, but it is friction. If you are the type who likes to keep your scope at 6 power for general glassing and trust your holdovers, Maven is going to frustrate you. You either embrace the 10 power workaround or you spend your money on a first focal plane scope from somebody else. Now the good news. The eye relief is brutally forgiving. Ranging from 60 millimeters all the way out to 81 millimeters, Maven engineered this scope to protect you from scope bite when you are slinging a light rifle chambered in Magnum and shooting uphill at 45 degrees. The windage and elevation turrets are silky smooth, not mushy, not gritty, and when you are sitting on a mountain at 11,000 feet with your heart rate through the roof, smooth turrets matter. The glass itself does not have the name recognition of a Swarovski or Leupold, but out in the field, a Dall sheep does not know the difference between a Maven and a European legend. It only knows that you are aiming at it clearly. This scope is for the minimalist purist. Buy it if you refuse to carry anything heavier than necessary, if you are comfortable accepting a second focal plane workflow, and if you trust that Japanese optics glass can compete with Swiss and German heritage brands. It will not let you down. Number 6. The Leupold VX3 HD, 3.5 to 10 times 40. Budget hunting does not mean shooting through a soda bottle. That is the entire philosophy behind the VX3 HD, and Leupold nailed it. Weighing just 13.1 to 13.5 ounces, this 1-inch tube scope gives you the elite optical system that competes with optics costing twice as much. Retail price floats around $600 to $800 depending on the reticle and illumination package you choose. That is accessible. That is what puts a genuine Leupold in the hands of hunters who refuse to run cheap glass, but also refuse to blow $6 grand on a scope. The 3.5 to 10 power range is old school in the best possible way. It is proven. Generations of North American hunters have used this exact magnification band and crushed everything from whitetails at 40 yards to elk at 400. In the dense rainforest of southeast Alaska, Admiralty Island, Trijicon Island, the Tongass National Forest, where visibility drops to 30 feet and canopy cover is absolute, 3.5 power gives you a field of view wide enough to find and track moving animals. Crank it to 10 power, and you can execute a 400-yard shot across a muskeg swamp without hesitation. The versatility is bulletproof. Now here is the trade-off. The 40mm objective is smaller than the 42 and 44mm lenses you get on premium scopes. Smaller objective means less raw light gathering. During the critical dawn and dusk hours when moose and bears are most active, those 20 minutes before sunrise and after sunset, a 40mm objective is noticeably dimmer than a 44. It is not disqualifying. The VX3 HD still delivers solid light transmission at twilight, thanks to Leupold's coatings. But a hunter running 42 or 44mm glass will see a perceptible brightness advantage in those same conditions. If you are hunting at sea level, where twilight lasts longer and light bounces off water, you barely notice the difference. If you are in the interior chasing caribou where you only get a narrow window of legal shooting light, that difference matters. The CDS-ZL system is included, meaning you can send your load data to Leupold and get a custom turret. It is not quite the same caliber of customization as the VX5 HD Gen 2. The VX3 HD uses a simpler dial structure, but it still eliminates holdover math and lets you dial directly to distance. For a hunter carrying a lightweight 7mm 08 or a 30-06 through steep, wet timber, the VX3 HD is the perfect marriage of weight, cost, and stopping power. Number 5. The Nightforce Show. 3 to 10 times 40 T20. Nightforce built their reputation in military combat deployments. These optics survive helicopter crashes. They hold zero after being dropped off a cliff. The SHV, Shooter, Hunter, Varminter, brings that legendary durability into the hunting world without the bloated weight of full-spectrum tactical glass. This scope is engineered for the hunter, who treats his rifle like a working tool, not a safe queen collecting dust in climate control. The 30mm tube and erector system are machined vise-tight. Hunters report throwing these rifles in trucks, dragging them through ATV racks, and scraping them across rocks without losing point of impact. The tracked adjustment mechanism is so robust that it barely moves even under the recoil of a .338 Win Magnum or a .375 H&H. There is no flexing, there is no creep. You dial elevation, it stays dialed. That reliability is the calling card here. Now let us talk weight. This is the deal breaker for mountain hunting. The SHV tips the scales at 22.2 ounces. And if you add a 30-inch tube or tactical turret configuration, you are looking at nearly 27 ounces. That is 3.5 pounds of scope alone. Strap that onto a rifle and suddenly your whole system is pushing the upper limit of manageable weight for a backpack hunt. If you are a purist who refuses to carry more than 6 pounds total and you are hunting sheep or mountain goats, this scope is not your answer. It is built for hunters who accept weight in exchange for absolute bulletproof reliability. The turrets are capped, protected from accidental bumps. The more reticle is clean, a central crosshair with 1 MOA hash marks for holdovers, and it works whether you are running a factory load or hand-loaded match ammo. Parallax is fixed at 100 yards, which is accurate enough for most hunting distances but will show focus shift if you are stretching past 500 yards. Drop this scope on a rifle that is going to get punished, dragged through mud and brush, and deployed by a guide outfit, and it will outlive you. It is the workhorse. It is the choice for hunters who value integrity over innovation. This is solid. It is honest. But wait until you see the monster at number 1, because that scope does something these 5 cannot even attempt. Number 4. The Swarovski Z5, 3.5 to 18 times 44p. Now we get serious. Stepping up the game means stepping into European precision. Swarovski optic has been the gold standard for high-end hunting glass since the 1980s, and the Z5 represents everything those Austrian engineers learned over 4 decades. Weighing only 15.9 ounces, which is phenomenal for a scope that cranks all the way to 18 power, this is the lightest high-magnification optic on this list. The entire system fits inside a 1-inch tube, which means lower mounting height, natural cheek weld, and zero obstruction when scanning through willow brush. The optical system is where Swarovski stops explaining and starts showing. The ED glass corrects color fringing across the entire light spectrum. Chromatic aberration is not a word you will ever need to use with this scope. You are looking at a Dall sheep ram at 400 yards against slate backdrop, and every single hair on his neck is rendered with surgical clarity. Light transmission hits 90%, which is the ceiling for what is physically possible with modern coatings. The Swarovski coating hydrophobic treatment makes water and oil bead off instantly. Dust, pine sap, insect repellent, salt spray, all of it wipes clean like the glass was sealed yesterday. Here is the painful part: price. A Swarovski Z5 will run you $2,500 to $3,500, depending on whether you opt for the standard cap turrets or the optional ballistic turret system. That is eye-watering money. You could buy 3 Leupold VX5 HDs and still have cash left over. For a hunter on a tight budget, and honestly, who is not, this number feels like a punch to the wallet. The scope is worth it in purity of glass and mechanics, but it demands a hunter who has already made peace with premium pricing. If you are going to complain about cost, do not even look at this line. Walk away right now. The parallax adjustment, the P in Z5P, is where Swarovski flexes. You dial the parallax knob on the left side of the scope to focus the reticle at the exact distance of your target, anywhere from 55 yards to infinity. This eliminates the optical ghost image that happens when your eye is slightly off axis. The BRH reticle gives you MOA elevation marks and windage holds, meaning you can dial for distance or hold directly without spinning turrets. For a mountain hunter executing a 400-yard shot into a valley at a steep downhill angle, parallax adjustment is insurance that your point of impact will be exactly where your reticle is pointing. The capped turrets are protected from accidental bumps, good for pack hunting, but they also mean you cannot snag a zero lock without sending the scope back for factory modification. Number 3. The Vortex Razor HD LHT, 3 to 15 times 40 TWO. Entering the elite tier means entering a conversation about optics that refuse to compromise. The Vortex Razor HD LHT Light Hunter Tactical is built for mountain hunters who demand tactical-grade precision without the bloated weight of a 30mm tube scope. 19.1 ounces. That is lighter than the Leupold VX5 HD Gen 2, lighter than the Nightforce, and you are getting 15 times magnification that actually works. This scope threads the needle between pure hunting glass and full-bore tactical systems, and it lands exactly where a serious mountain hunter needs it. The apochromatic lens system corrects color aberration with indexed glass elements, meaning chromatic fringing, that colored halo you see around high-contrast targets, is nearly eliminated across the entire light spectrum. Pair that with the XR Plus anti-reflection coating, plus the ArmorTech hardened outer lens, and you get optical clarity that shrugs off scratches from rock, dust, and contact with tree bark. The glass itself renders edge-to-edge sharpness that forces you to slow down and really study the target. A ram's horns at 400 yards do not get fuzzy at the edges. A grizzly's shoulders do not blur as you pan. Everything stays laser sharp from the center to the periphery. Here is what cuts into the elegance. The elevation turrets are exposed and fully tactical. There are no safeguards, no zero stops, no protection from accidental bumps when you are jamming this rifle into a backpack or sliding it through brush. If you twist that turret by accident, and in the chaos of a stalk, accidents happen, your zero is gone. You have to dial back out to your original setting by memory or calculation. For a hunter trained in reticle holdovers and comfortable with that workflow, it is irrelevant. For a hunter who relies purely on dialing and expects turrets to stay locked, Vortex's design philosophy is going to create headaches. The exposed turrets give you speed and precision when you need to adjust on the fly, but they also mean vigilance and discipline every single time you move the rifle. Mounted on a carbon fiber rifle chambered in 6.5 precision rifle cartridge or 280 ACLI improved, the Razor HD LHT is a surgical instrument. The HSR-5i reticle offers illuminated center dot options in MOA or MRAD, and the glass is clean enough that even at 15 power, you can read the age of the animal and make an ethical shot decision. This scope is the choice for hunters who have spent time behind glass, understand ballistics, and refuse to accept limitations. It is precision on a leash. The Trijicon AccuPoint, 1 to 8 times 24. Closer to the crown means you are hunting dangerous game. The AccuPoint is not built for precision rifle marksmanship or mountain sheep hunts. This is the scope for coastal brown bears in the Kodiak brush, for grizzlies in the interior when they are defensive and aggressive, for moments when the engagement distance is measured in feet and the margin for error is zero. The AccuPoint, 1 to 8 times 24, is a low-power variable optic engineered around one core philosophy: never fail, never hesitate, never apologize. The defining feature is no batteries, zero reliance on electronic power. In Alaska wilderness, lithium batteries drain like someone is actively killing them. The cold accelerates discharge in ways that southern hunters never encounter. Trijicon solved this with dual illumination. A fiber optic light gatherer collects ambient light during daylight and routes it through a fiber bundle to illuminate the aiming point. When darkness comes, complete darkness, a tritium element glows on its own for 15 to 20 years without any electrical input. That is physics, not marketing. That is an optic that will function in total blackness and blizzard conditions when every other electronic system on your rifle is failing. The aiming point comes in a red triangle or green triangle configuration, or a BDC hunter hold design, and it stays visible in brush and low light, where conventional reticles fade into the murk. Here is the compromise. Magnification tops out at 8 power. For a hunter trying to execute a 400-yard shot across a valley at Dall sheep, 8 power is borderline. You can make it work, but you are straining to see fine details. If you want to hunt everything from brown bears at arm's length to mountain goats at distance, you are accepting that the long-range work stays at 8 power. The scope is optimized for close-range lethality, not high magnification precision. For a dedicated big-game hunter who wants options, this limitation stings. You cannot just crank up magnification and reach out past 300 yards with confidence. The glass quality is good, but 8 power is 8 power. The real innovation is the Binden aiming concept, the ability to shoot both eyes open at 1 power magnification. Your brain fuses the magnified reticle from the scope with the unmagnified peripheral vision from your open eye, giving you a holographic aiming picture. This matters when a wounded bear turns and charges through willow at 20 yards. You do not close one eye. You do not acquire tunnel vision. You shoot with both eyes locked open, seeing everything around your target while tracking movement. Trijicon put these scopes through the science of brilliant testing protocol: thermal shock from -20 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees, plus 5,000 consecutive recoil cycles. this scope will not break. Number 1. The Leupold VX5 HD GN2, 3 to 15 times 44. The throne is locked in. Listen, this is the scope that takes the crown, and here is exactly why. The VX5 HD Gen 2 gives you the rugged reliability of the Nightforce SHV, that bulletproof tracking and zero retention, but with a 5:1 magnification ratio that does what the Trijicon AccuPoint cannot do: hunt everything from 30 yards to 400 yards without compromise. You are not sacrificing long-range capability to get close-quarters speed. You are not accepting 8 power magnification as your maximum. You are getting 15 power when you need precision, and you are getting 3 power when you need field of view. That versatility is not a luxury. That is survival in Alaska's unpredictable terrain. Compare it directly to the Swarovski Z5P sitting at number 4. Both scopes weigh approximately 16 ounces. Both deliver world-class optical clarity. But here is the difference that matters. The Swarovski costs $3,000 and demands European precision. You send it back for custom work. You schedule appointments. You treat it like a museum piece. The Leupold VX5 HD Gen 2 retails for $1,800 to $2,200, includes the custom dial system straight out of the box, and you can send your load data to Leupold from a bush plane in the middle of nowhere. The durability is equal. The glass is equal. But the Leupold does not require a second mortgage and a prayer that nothing goes wrong on the hunt. It is engineered for the reality of Alaska, not the fantasy of Swiss precision theater. Now contrast that with the Trijicon AccuPoint at number 2. The AccuPoint is the ultimate specialist. Dangerous game, close quarters, battery-independent illumination. It is flawless at what it does. But the moment you are hunting a mixed bag, caribou in the morning at 300 yards, then glassing for sheep in the afternoon, the AccuPoint's 8-power ceiling becomes a liability. The VX5 HD switches from 3 to 15 in 2 seconds. You can glass an entire valley at 7 power without losing field of view. Then dial up to 14 power for a surgical shot without recalibrating. The Trijicon forces you to accept that you are a specialist, not a generalist. The Leupold lets you be both. Here is what separates this scope from everything below it. The CDS SZL2 system with zero lock protection is not just convenience, it is a physics advantage. You are not hunting from memory. You are not guessing holdovers under adrenaline. You dial the exact distance, and the turret moves the reticle to the exact point of impact. That difference, multiplied across a 10-day hunt in variable weather and altitude, is the gap between tags filled and tags unfilled. The guard ion coating handles salt spray, rain, glacial melt, and mud without degrading. The 44mm objective captures enough light for dawn and dusk hunting without forcing you to mount the scope so high that your natural cheek weld collapses. The tracking has been box tested to zero drift, period. You show up to Alaska with this scope mounted on a rifle weighing 9 to 10 pounds, chambered in a cartridge that shoots flat, 300 Win Magnum, 338 Win Magnum, 280 Ackley improved, and you are unstoppable. Dall sheep at 400 yards, grizzlies at 40 yards, moose in timber at 150. This scope does not whisper promises, it delivers results. The wilderness of Alaska does not tolerate mistakes in equipment. The failure of a rifle scope on a bush plane flight is not just wasted money, it is a safety risk that runs deep, especially when dangerous animals are involved. A grizzly coming through brush at 20 yards does not care about your backup plan. A moose in the timber does not wait for you to swap scopes. You get one chance to be ready, and that means one chance to have the right optic mounted before you leave the tarmac. This ranking breaks down into clear paths. If you are a mountain hunter on a 10-day backpack hunt carrying a rifle under 6 pounds, The Maven RS.2 or the Vortex Razor HD LHT are your answers. The weight savings are non-negotiable. If you are hunting coastal brown bears or interior grizzlies where close quarters lethality matters, the Trijicon AccuPoint is your only choice. That no battery illumination system is not a feature, it is insurance. If you want one scope that hunts everything from sea level to 11,000 feet without compromise, if you want a custom dial system that turns ballistics into dial positions, if you want a scope that costs half as much as a Swarovski but performs at 90% of that price, the Leupold VX5 HD Gen 2 is the call. The glass you choose today determines the memories you make tomorrow. Choose carefully, hunt hard, execute clean shots, and respect the animals that feed you. Train hard, stay safe, and I will see you downrange.